Probably one of the hardest experiences I had was closer to the end of my mission. My mission president and I had been in another interview, and he said, you know, I could transfer you. It'd be a lot easier to say goodbye at the end of your mission if I transferred you. And I told him that I would do everything in my power. If I could stay in Louisiana, that I would do everything in my power to magnify my calling and do that work and be there for those people, because I came to love them so much, and I recognized how hard it would be to go. And then it got hard. There was a transfer where every single week something happened, whether it was someone got seriously injured or one of our investigators' father passed away. And then one week there was a brother in our branch who, at the beginning of my mission, he seemed really standoffish and just very tough and really hard to get through, but he was a teddy bear. He was just a big teddy bear. He was an elderly gentleman. He was like a grandpa. He and his wife were wonderful, and she was like a grandmother for me as well. And we came to love both of them so much. And close to the end of my mission, we found out that he had tried to get out of a car and collapsed and was in ICU, and he had an aneurysm, I believe, and it was so bad that he was basically in a coma, and they were breathing for him and, you know, feeding him, and through all of this he would try to take the feeding tubes out, and so they had to put these mitts on his hands so he couldn't take it out, and it was really hard. And we came and visited him and his wife almost every day during the ICU visiting hours, and it was really hard to see him like that, and see her and her family really struggling. Some of her kids are less active members of the church, and we had been working with them as best as we could, at least. And so it was really hard to see all of them suffer and try to be there, and also suffering ourselves because we loved him so much, and all of them. And at one point, I think it was about 2 weeks after the initial accident, his wife asked us if we could come to the hospital because they were going to decide what to do, because he was still not able to breathe on his own or anything. And so we went there, and they decided that pulling the plug would be the best thing to do. And she wanted us to be there as well for that, which I appreciated. It was hard, but I appreciated that she considered us enough of family to want us to be included in that. But that was the hardest experience, was going in and watching his children, their children, you know, hug him and just sob and be in so much pain. And then they let us come in and they pulled the plug, and I've dealt with a lot of death in my family, so it's not that I'm not familiar with death, but I've never seen a guy die before. And watching that process was really, really painful. Seeing someone that I loved so much go through that, and his entire family as well. They said they gave him some stuff so he wouldn't be in pain and to help him to relax in the process of dying. But it took him like 45 minutes of flatlining and coming back and flatlining again. And at one point they asked me to say a prayer, and it was so hard to just sit there crying and praying for Heavenly Father to send angels and to help him to go. So that was probably the hardest experience, was just watching someone I loved so much die, and you know, seeing how much his family was suffering, and also feeling so much pain myself.